This is Betstars and Stripes with Dr. Turf, Ed Wyatt and Alice Gander.
Yes, hello, welcome to Betstars and Stripes. Teo Pellizzeri in the chair this week. We are about to welcome our panel, Dr. Turf not far away. Alice Gander not with us this week, but don't worry, I'll be keeping you across all the action on betstar.com.au, because when you bet with the Scanders Betstar, you're betting with a 100% owned Australian-operated company who are committed to looking after the punters' needs. Take Betstar on at betstar.com.au. Of course, we are heading into the final week of the NFL regular season, and there's plenty of NBA going on as well. Ed Wyatt's in the studio with me, Dr. Turf not far away. Ed, welcome back to Betstars and Stripes.
I'm the panel, Teo, aren't I? What an impressive panel. A panel of one.
That's all right. We can make a panel of one work for us.
Of course it can.
We're going to jump into a bit of NFL chat, and we're actually got the playoff machine up.
Yeah, you love that. Explain how that works.
Well,
I love it.
If you just put into Google, if you're out there and you like your NFL, the NFL playoff scenario generator, and then type Yahoo in as the last word, you'll get the most simple one. It's a bit like in the run into the AFL finals, the ladder predictor.
Yes.
Basically, you choose who wins, and then it'll change the helmet of which team will be heading to the playoffs, depending on which scenario you choose. And it means that with all the various machinations of tomorrow morning's games, Ed, we can actually work out our own playoff system. And it's actually, there are some games which are key, that if they are successes or if they fall over, it'll determine who plays where. But there are some that'll lock the door on a number of situations. And
yeah,
the big one, I suppose, though, that we'll kick off with is Dallas at Washington. That's the one which is pretty much just a straight play-in game to the playoffs. And depending on the scenarios, either way, it won't really affect who gets in or who gets out, because if they win, they're in. If they lose, they're out.
Well, it's an interesting, and this is also interesting because it's what they call the flex game, which is the game they've moved into the prime time slot, which is around 12:30 or whatever here. So unlike the English Premier League, where they start the last day of the season, every game starts at the same time. American football still keeps its same tradition. So the Redskins, if the Redskins win, they win the NFC East and they are in. If Dallas wins, Dallas wins the NFC East, and they are in. The Redskins can still lose and get in. The Cowboys cannot lose and get in. So the Redskins, because it's a flex game, could go into that later game knowing that they're already in. I believe, we have the great work by the staff at Croc Media, by the way, generating this incredibly comprehensive playoff seeding document, which is highly classified, by the way. But if Minnesota and Chicago both lose, the Redskins then would be in the playoffs, even if they lose to the Cowboys.
And of course, that would put a lot of pressure on Tony Romo and the Cowboys, knowing that they've got the chance to get in, but it could depend on whether or not they can beat RG3 and the Redskins, their arch rivals.
It's funny because in this day and age, when we hear about the Red Sox and the Yankees and these great rivalries, this is one of the NFL's great rivalries, and it's a funny one. I'll tell you why it is. And I was living back in the D.C. area as a kid for a while, and we were Colts fans, but the Redskins are just right down the road. They've been in that division, as you know, sort of with the Eagles, the Giants, and the Cowboys, for structural reasons, were thrown into that division. So even though you think, New York and Philly are close and that's a rivalry, Dallas, because they were really good, and then the Redskins got really good, had this vicious rivalry that's actually superseded those others, because the Eagles weren't very good back in those 70s and 80s. And so the Cowboys-Redskins just became a huge rivalry. So it's as good a rivalry as any, really, in the NFL.
Dr. Turf joins us in the studio. Doc, welcome to Betstars and Stripes.
Yes, did we start early tonight, did we?
Well, I think you probably just got delayed by that enthralling Sydney Thunder team.
I got locked out of the house by my children. I don't mind telling you. Who happened to have gone to the Falls Festival. So there you go. I could have made up any excuse, but the honesty is the best policy. And is there a less relevant game in the world of Big Bash cricket than Sydney Kings?
This is Sydney Derby. Come on.
Oh, dear,
It's been diabolical. 5 for 72
They're
off 14
terrible.
overs.
I mean, you guys know the cricket way more than I do, but I can tell you that's a bad team.
We're watching Chris Gale, one of the greatest batsmen in the world, not try in Australia. He has given up.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Ed, we counted about 60 professional full-time sporting teams in Australia across all the sports, and we had Thunder at the bottom. Dead last.
That's a big rate. Now, I've been listening to you. It's fascinating, isn't it? I mean, Ed, has this come to week 17 or the final round with so many permutations and combinations still
They love
available.
it. The NFL loves it. In
Is
fact,
this the first- I can't.
Nah, it's been this way for the last few years, and the thing that this one's extraordinary because all the NFC permutations. The AFC is actually set, other than positioning, which is
not
interesting.
NFC.
And the NFL loves it. This is what they want. This is why they have the salary cap. This is why they have the draft. It's everything that they want. They are so thrilled with this because this is, there aren't many meaningless games. And to be honest, a meaningless game in the NFL can be really bad because it's such a physical, high-energy game. It's hard to go out and fake your way through an American football game. So
There are a couple of games where, for instance, I think a good example to me would be the Philadelphia game where probably his last game, might be Vic's last game, Andy Reid's last game.
Yep.
Their opponent's got absolutely nothing to play for.
Well, they do. The Giants theoretically, if they win and their three teams lose, the Giants can still get in.
Okay.
So don't discount that.
Don't work on that theory.
The mathematical
I
probability.
know what you're saying, though.
I think the mathematical probability, Doc, is about 2.5% chance of the New York Giants getting into the playoffs.
Okay,
Well,
I was nearly. Well, we're talking
Yeah.
40 to 1 here, Ed.
They need the Vikings to lose to Green Bay, which could happen. Chicago to lose to Detroit, which probably won't happen, and Dallas to lose to Washington, which could happen.
And that would send them, funnily enough, to San Francisco, most likely,
Which
in
would
a
be
rematch
amazing.
of last year's NFC Championship
Don't
game.
look weird things happen this time of year and in the playoffs, as we know. So I would absolutely not discount the Giants. The last couple of years of the four-leaf clovers jammed in various places on their bodies. So I would imagine that they're not out of it yet.
I'm trying to think about betting this weekend and who's trying who. I mean, run this one past me. The Colts are in
Correct.
the playoffs, can't miss the playoffs.
Correct.
But they can't get home field
No.
under any circumstance.
No, that's right, because they can't move.
So, why would they play Andrew Luck?
That's a great question. It's a very good
because I'm
question.
looking at this. I mean, the Houston Texans who've, got their pants pulled down last week.
Yeah, they
Monday
were bad.
Night Football.
They were bad.
The line there is 7. To me,
Yeah.
why would the Colts play Andrew Luck?
Only to continue the consistency and the build towards the playoff. That's the reason
I
why.
understand
I know
that.
exactly
and
what
he's
you're
a kid.
saying.
He's a rookie season and everything.
But I
I'm
know
just
what you're
wondering-
saying. I know what you're saying.
I actually honestly think that -7 Houston is a good bet anyway. But if Andrew Luck doesn't play, it's a gift. It's gift wrapped.
Well, you do have a team, Houston, they don't need to win, but they need to win to clinch that number 1 seed. So Denver could overtake
And also
them if
they're
they
coming off a spanking
right,
too.
correct. Yeah, it's not a bad thought.
0433 98 11 16 if you want to text in, or 9429 11 16 to jump on the line. We'll get to the odds and the lines in our next segment, but some of the other issues in the NFL at the moment. Calvin Johnson breaking Jerry Rice's record with the 225 yards last week to go past Jerry Rice's single season NFL receiving record. But Ed, in a losing season, in a 4-10 team, Rice made a habit of playing in winning teams, and he obviously had great quarterbacks driving those seasons that he played in. Where do you put Calvin Johnson on the scale of great receivers, though? I was reading a piece during the week about how Bill Barnwell made the argument he doesn't have junk time because so many of his receptions have either led fourth-quarter comebacks in narrow defeats or fourth-quarter comebacks to win. But the problem is, if you lead a fourth-quarter comeback in a narrow defeat, your team keeps losing, don't they?
Yeah, it does. I mean, it's a hard thing about American football, and I would suggest that Australian rules football is probably similar in that, you have that whole team element of it as well to throw in there. And I was watching that game where he broke the record, and there were the Lions doing that. He's obviously maybe the best receiver in the league. Meanwhile, Atlanta's moving up and down the field on him with their 2 receivers, Roddy White and Julio Jones, who probably aren't as good as Calvin Johnson, but are far more effective, are doing more for their teams, are making big catches, and you have to throw that team element up there. Calvin Johnson's fantastic, but you can't put him in with a Jerry Rice or these guys that Lynn Swan that led their teams to 4 Super Bowls.
Julio Jones has had a belter of a season.
He's a good player. He's turned out. People wondered about that draft pick, and he's turned out to be pretty good.
I saw a bit of. In fact, I think there was 3 college games this morning. One of them played in a blizzard.
Did you see that? Yeah, that was a game in New York City at Yankee Stadium.
In the Bronx.
Yeah, that's at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, and I noticed in the commentary, I heard him say that one of the players out there was playing despite the fact his brother had been murdered during the week, shot whilst protecting somebody. Somebody was trying to steal his shoes.
Right.
I mean,
there
what?
you go. That's outrageous, isn't it? I did read that.
It's become a week.
Yeah, it's just getting out of hand,
bizarre.
isn't it? Yeah, we almost have to take the North Korean or the old Soviet Union thing and just not report these things. Just like they're not happening out of sight, out of mind.
I don't know if I'd try and emulate North Korea's sort of PR machine.
On New York, Doc, as we go to our first break, Brad, our producer, of course, for Betstars and Stripes, is asking who will be the QB of the New York Jets next season, Michael Vick or Alex Smith?
Gee whiz.
It's a mess, isn't it?
I mean, is it possible that both those quarterbacks don't play next year?
It is. I mean, I know Sanchez has a big contract, so they're going to have to figure out what to do with that and eat some money and deal with that. The big story is interesting is McElroy, who played last week. They lost, and then he got concussion symptoms and hid them from the staff, hid them from the team, and they discovered that he had them, and that's why he's not playing this week. And I will say, for those out there, and a lot of people are like, why not give Tebow the start? It can't hurt, throw him in there. Why change now? It doesn't make sense because you have to change your offense for Tebow. Sanchez, you don't. You just throw him in there and you play out the 17th game and you move on. It just makes no sense to start Tebow in this final game, especially what if he has a blinder? What if he somehow comes out miraculously and leads them to a win, and then you get a whole publicity problem there. So I'm in Rex Ryan's camp on this one, absolutely. Sanchez starts. Tebow doesn't even see the field.
And Kaepernick had a shocker last week.
Seattle was good.
Yeah.
Seattle jumped on San Francisco
and
so quickly.
It was that game.
It was ugly, wasn't it?
It was ugly. You're right.
They're going to have to rebound. That's a big test for them, San Francisco, how they come back because Seattle pummeled them. They were beating them up. They were taunting them. They were running it up on them. That was really interesting.
We'll speak about the games for Week 17 and the playoff implications after the break. This is Betstars and Stripes for Betstar, the home of US sport in Australia, and to celebrate the $2 power lines on all NFL games from 4 p.m. every Sunday, head to betstar.com.au or betstar.mobi to check them out.
You notice he's been butchered with the $2 power lines, has Alan Iskander and Betstar. And where is he this week?
Gone.
Sulking. Gone.
Well, your chance to get a look at them. They're up now on betstar.com.au and betstar.mobi. More after the break.
This is Bet Stars and Stripes with Dr. Turf, Ed Wyatt and Alice Gander.
Welcome back to Betstars and Stripes. Betstar offer the best on all Saturday and selected public holiday metro meets half an hour prior to the jump. Select it for the best of the totes or top fluck, whichever is higher. Betstar.com.au. No Alice Gander this week, but we do have Ed White and Dr. Turf in the studio. 0433 98 11 16. Text us through your playoff scenarios and implications because we're about to go through the key games of this weekend in the NFL and on television, of course, we get some of the most important ones. Ed mentioned the flex game before, the Dallas Cowboys at the Washington Redskins. It's the crunch game, and we'll start with that one on Betstar right now. You can get $2.50 for the Cowboys, $1.50 for the Redskins, and it's a 3.5 point line. The Redskins are favourites.
I'm not trying to put anyone off having a bet, but this is, to me, is one of those games where you enjoy watching, I reckon, and I find it difficult to enjoy it when I've got a financial interest. This is a terrific game.
Yeah.
Both teams playing, got plenty to play for, and I got no idea. Right?
Yeah, well, Dallas has been that way all year, haven't they? I mean, they've been up and down. We can't get a real lead on them. We thought they were going to win it. They're kind of like Rasputin, you know. You just can't kill this team. They just keep coming back when you think that. Even last time after they lost to New Orleans, I thought, they're done. Yeah. And then I realized, no, they're not done. They've still got a chance. So I agree with you.
I know you guys have studied this a bit more, but I think Washington can still make it and lose, can't they?
They can if
still lose and make it.
Yep, they can if I think, and they could. They might know
the right way.
They might even know going into the game that they've made it.
Does that cause any controversy? Because
no. It's funny because
the EPL don't do it. The AFL doesn't do it, obviously.
Well, when I first started following the English Premier League, I said, that is bizarre. They start all the games at the same time. And then someone explained to me the concept of, but there's no relegation. I guess that's the key more than the promotion is the relegation in the English Premier League. But,